Hey guys, this is Miss Yoon, and I'm going to be going over the Unit 7 study guide. So let's start with the very first three problems. It says, I can determine if k equals 8 is part of the solution set. So if you didn't read this, then you probably solved it by just trying to solve for k. And if you did that, you're not wrong, but technically speaking, that wasn't the way you're supposed to solve it. You're supposed to solve it by looking at, 5 times k. So instead of k, you should have written 8. And then is less than 39. 5 times 8 is 40. And so is 40 less than 39? No. And so you know that k equals 8 is not part of the solution set. Next we have k divided by 2 is less than or equal to 4. Instead of k, we need to write 8. So I would have written 8 divided by 2 is less than or equal to 4. Well, I know 8 divided by 2 is 4. So is 4 divided by 4, oh my gosh, is 4 less than or equal to 4? Well, because it's or equal to, this is a true statement. Last but not least, we have k minus 6 is greater than 2. So instead of k, I need to write 8 minus 6 is greater than 2. And 8 minus 6 is 2. And so is 2 greater than 2? Not quite. This is a false statement. And so you should have gotten true, false, and true. The next one says, I can graph inequalities on the number line. And yes, you should be able to graph inequalities on the number line. If you look at number 4, it says x is greater than or equal to 6. So I'm going to write 6 in the middle. It's more of habit. If you write it off to the side, like over here or over here, that's okay. It's just, I kind of like mine to be in the middle. So because of that line underneath the inequality, I know that it's or equal to. If it's or equal to, it's a closed circle. If I were you on my test, as soon as I get it, I would write this on my paper. That way, I know that if there's no line underneath it, it's a closed circle. However, if there's a line underneath it, meaning or equal to, that means it's a closed circle. So open and closed. And so there's two ways you can figure out which way your arrow is going. The first one is pretty easy. You can just look at the inequality. As you can see, it's a greater than sign, and it kind of looks like an arrow pointing this way. That's how we know that we can just kind of draw our arrow this way because we know that it's greater than or equal to 6. Another way we can do this is by checking the left and the right of our number. So I'm going to look at 4 and see if 4 is greater than or equal to 6. Well, it's not. And so that's why 8's not going that way. Is 8 greater than or equal to 6? Yes, it is. It's greater than. That's how we know that we're going the right way to the right. So students in my class will know that as soon as I see this, I say ew. And there's something wrong with this. I mean, it's still 15 and a half is greater than x. However, the trick with the arrow does not work in this situation. That's because x is on the wrong half of our inequality. We would like x on the left side, not the right. And so if we wanted to flip our inequality, if you wanted to flip our sign, we have to flip everything. So 15 and a half is greater than x is the same thing as saying x is less than 15 and a half. The only difference is that we flip the sign and the x comes first. Because the x is first, we can use our trick with the arrow, and it'll be just a little bit more easy on us. So because there's no or equal to line, it's an open circle, and we can follow the arrow. And just really quick to check, we can use either one, so let's look at this one. Is 15 and a half greater than 15? Yes. Is 16 less than 15 and a half? No. So whichever one you used, you should still have the arrow going this direction. It's just that with the X on the right side, you can't use your little inequality arrow trick. Number 6. I'm going to tell you right now, the biggest reason why people will probably get this wrong is because instead of doing -5, -4, -3, -2, -1, they probably had it flipped. So they did -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on. If you do that, just please remember your number line starts from 0. And so this is always the biggest, and this is always the smallest. And so the smaller numbers go on the right, and the bigger numbers go on the right. So left and right. Because it has the or equal to line, we know that it's a closed circle. And our arrow should be facing to the left. Let me double check real quick. Is -5 less than or equal to -3? It is. Is 0 less than or equal to -3? No way. Now we have to write an inequality based off the number line. I'm going to take a guess and say this is 3. So I always like to have my inequality come first because of what we just talked about. And so we know it's a closed circle, which means it has to have the or equal to part. And then we can either, use the trick and realize, oh, hey, it's pointing to the right. Or we can say, so I know that these are the numbers that are bigger than 3, so it must be x is greater than or equal to 3. So I'm going to double check. Is -2 greater than or equal to 3? No. Is 10 greater than or equal to 3? Yes. This one is totally 5. There's no doubt about it. And because there's no closed circle, it's not going to be an or equal to. That means it's either less than or greater than. So we know that it's probably the numbers that are bigger than 5. So it must be x is greater than 5. Because 2 is not greater than 5, but 10 is. Last but not least, we have a closed circle on 10, so we know it's an or equal to. And we can use the arrow trick, or we can say these are all numbers that are less than 10. Is 0 less than or equal to 10? Yes. Is 20 less than or equal to 10? No way. These are the last 6. Probably the hardest because a lot of students have trouble with this. So I'm going to be doing these 6 problems in a different video.